Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aligned, the podcast. Erin here. And today we have a classic Erin and Bee sit down with a cup of tea, with a coffee, and just give a little bit of an update without any real plan or agenda. Although, as usual, there always ends up being a theme around what it is that we're talking about. And in this episode, we very serendipitously ended up sharing about some recent psychedelic experiences that we've both had and the insights and realizations that we found there, as well as just what we've experienced in our businesses and in the online space and how that kind of relates to this upcoming cycle shift in 2027 and what we can kind of expect there. So, this is a lot about creativity, a lot about identities and stories that we have been telling ourselves most of our lives and how that has been limiting us within our authentic expression, and sharing about how we've been working ourselves to let go of those sort of identities and tap into our creativity, tap into our energy better and in a more aligned way. So I hope you all enjoy this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. And if you do love it, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share your love. Let's try to, keep this online space feeling human and personal and not just this mindless consumerism trap. So I'll leave it at that. I like that mug.
Got it from fact. There's a story behind this mug. I was on mushrooms a few weeks ago and I just had a thought of I was just having, as you do, where you're like, I need to go do the things I've been saying I'm gonna do. And I've wanted a new coffee mug because I just love the coffee mug vibes. And I was like, right. So the morning after the mushrooms, I got on my bike and the first thing I did on my way home was go to the ceramic shop and choose out hand painted ceramic. And now it's my joy post mushroom mug.
I love that. I love the clarity that plant medicine experiences can unlock for us. And, I was reflecting about this recently because I also had my own journey over the weekend. And I dabble in all of these worlds, of course. I think at the end of the day, right, we can say oh, wow, I love mushrooms. Mushrooms always give me so many answers. I get so many downloads or this or that. And really at the end of the day, I just think it's another tool to yes, you have an experience, which again can be very spiritual. It can be very connected. You can tap into things that you normally wouldn't be able to tap into. But what are you left with at the end of the day? It's a deeper connection to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way of I think almost sorting through the distortion or sorting through. Honestly, it's a really great way of deconditioning in a sense, where I do think and you take something that's more extreme like ayahuasca, where it's you are purging, you are excavating, and at the end of the day, what are you left with? Yeah, you might be very fragile and feeling all sorts of ways right after, but it's a clear version of you. It's a more connected version of you. And it's not the plants. It's not, we sometimes can say oh, it's, I need to keep doing this because I only get that when I have the plant or if I have this experience. And then again, we start seeking more things to still try to get there, when we're not realizing that it's still just connecting us to us. And it can be a tool, it can be an accelerator like anything, but it's not the thing. It's not the guru. It's not the savior. It's just an ally. I love that term, plant ally.
Absolutely. And this journey this time, I did it on Yepi, which is Balinese quiet day. So the whole energy of that island was super still. And I've been being called to do it for ages. It's been a while. And this time I think was the most grounded time that I've ever had with mushrooms, where I even had a moment in the experience. I was at my friend's house. She's got a beautiful place, like overlooking the ocean. Like it's nature everywhere. It's gorgeous setting. But the whole time I was literally just headphones in the water. And I just kept getting this like energy of like radiance. And it wasn't looking in the mirror and being like, you're so beautiful. It was like, oh my God, my energy is so radiant. I'm so radiant. I'm so beautiful because my energy is so radiant. And I was just like moving. And I just remember being in the pool being like, I don't even know. Like I don't even know what I look like right now, but I just know that I feel and this pure presence and like that was the message I got of like how often am I this present to be able to feel my own energy so strongly? I'm not. I'm on my phone. I'm scrolling. I'm thinking about things that don't matter. And I remember looking at this plant for like 30 minutes and being like, it's not that deep. None of it is that deep. Like, what am I so stressed for? And I think, like you said, you just come back to that essence of like simple. It's really not that serious. And then I had this moment too where negative thoughts tried to come in, like my limiting thoughts tried to come in of like, oh no, like this, that. And it was so funny because I could literally I felt as if I could see it creeping into the side of like my consciousness. And I remember just having this moment where I like saw it and I was like, haha, I have the tools to breathe through this. And I breathed like this deep sigh and they just like went away. And I was like, I am such a powerful creator. And that was the energy of the whole experience. And I just kept like tapping in with my friend, like, you good? And she was like in her own like process. And that was it. And I was just like, oh, whoa, I've never been this at peace before. And this is just amplified through the medicine right now. Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing, I think, especially mushrooms, is the amplification. And, some people can have challenging experiences and they think it's a mushroom thing. They think it's like, oh, it doesn't really work with my system or whatever. And you also have to take accountability and ask yourself, like, well, what are you amplifying? What's alive inside you at this moment? What are the things that you have not been wanting to look at? Because guess what? The mushrooms aren't going to just give you this love and light, peace and blessings experience if there's shit under, like if there's a mess in your closet that you haven't been wanting to look at.
Yeah. I remember once me and Ben took them. We did like 4 grams. So it was like, good. And they didn't work. They just didn't work. We felt a bit floaty and I was like, we weren't meant to do that today. And looking back,
Yeah.
the place we were at, like it wouldn't have been healthy for us to do it together. And it's just interesting because again, like you get exactly what you need every single time. And what you need might actually not be a beautiful session connected to nature. It might be deep anxiety because you realize that actually you don't trust yourself. And so when you're raw, because that's one thing I always struggled with in the past with mushrooms. I would be terrified of like bumping into someone. I would need to be alone and private because like I just didn't trust how I felt if someone were to engage with me in this raw form, like this vulnerable, naked form, right? And this time around, there was like a guy in the thing, and I was just like so solid. Like, if this guy comes over to me, like, I'm fine, you know? And it's that self perception piece too. So it's like, well, what's coming up for you in these moments that's actually being like asking you to look at deeper?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah, I resonate with that one a lot. I remember I did mushrooms. And again, it's like I don't like to do them socially really.
me
And
neither.
however, doing them socially has made me more aware of certain like parts of myself and patterns. But I remember when I was still in Bali and I there was a full moon Astana party. So Astana is this like ice bath, sauna, pool, like on the cliffs of Uluwatu. Um, Place that again people go almost as like a wellness social activity. And so they have these parties and I go and I pick up my friend Erica who lives right next door right beforehand, and she's a self-projected projector, and she's just an alien. Like this girl is from another planet. You meet her and you just know it's like very good she's not from here. Okay, so I walk in and she opens the door and she's like, Erin, I did something. And I was like, what? And she just hands me like a bar of mushroom chocolate. She's like, I already took some and this is for you. And Erica's tiny. She's like this tiny little fairy. And I've always been someone where when I do substances, whatever it might be, usually I have a higher tolerance. Like, and that's also one of the stories that I always tell myself, or like I fear going into things is like, it's not going to work. Um, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll take what Erica took because if Erica took that, then I'm sure that I'll be even more fine. We get into Astana and I start feeling it, and it's busy. I mean, there's probably a couple hundred of people there. And it was horrible. A, because I just wasn't expecting it. I wasn't ready for it. I was going to go for like a little bit and then go home. Like I wasn't even committed to the experience. And then I'm there and I'm not leaving because I'm like deep in it. And
Because
I
you
had,
fell.
it made me so uncomfortable. And part of it for me was thinking, I was like, okay, so much of my energy as a projector is outward focused. I am so hyper aware of my environment, A, because of my mechanics, B, because of my like hyper vigilant upbringing. And so I've always been, again, in control and always kind of perceiving people, their body language, always just observing. And again, you take a substance, it takes away or it changes those senses that you rely so heavily on, and not being in control of how I present myself and being so like anxious and uncomfortable. I was like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't even want like, so I just sat in the grass and it was just like very shadowy where it was just, it's not that I couldn't handle it or like was having a like full on bad experience. I was just like, I'm un- so uncomfortable and I just have to ride this out. And
Yeah.
Erica would just, she would go float around and then she'd come back and check on me, float around and come back and check on me. And yeah, just if I really look back on it too and where I was at that time in my life and how I was showing up for myself in Bali, how overstimulated that environment was for me, how disconnected I actually was from that community for as much as I tried to like be connected to it. It was no surprise that kind of like my experience was like that because it just A, it showed me certain things about myself, and B, it was just also a product of a misaligned environment.
Yeah, and I mean it's quite interesting, isn't it? How like you had no expectation that was going to happen, and it did, but and it could be deemed a bad experience because it was uncomfortable, but it was actually probably exactly what you needed in
Yeah.
retrospect. 'Cause it me, you know,
Yeah.
these are these reflections where afterwards you're like, oof, wow,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
Yeah.
oh yeah, and I mean recently you had a experience. So how did that differ?
Yeah, so this was really interesting. It's funny because we had no plans to talk about like plant medicine and journeys and stuff, but here we are. This is where the conversation is going. So this weekend, actually, I took acid or LSD for the first time,
Was it the
and
first
just
time?
for the first time, yeah. And first off, what I love about it is people kind of assume when we're talking about plant medicine, right? It's like, well, okay, acid is that's not a medicine, right? It's a fungus. It comes from a fungus. So
Didn't
again,
know that.
it's yeah, yeah. And it was at the house with just my brother and my super close friend who lives with us here, Mackenzie. The three of us are super close. Like our lives and day to days are so intertwined. And so it was like as safe of a container as it could have been. And it was like a beautiful sunny day. And again, I've never dabbled in this specific flavor of things. And again, I don't do stuff often. It's like maybe 2 or 3 times a year. But I was like, this is a good time. Like there's a lot of like, again, I feel like closing chapters, opening chapters, closing chapters, opening chapters. And something that in listening to how my brother and Mackenzie describe it, because they're like, this is honestly one of our favorites because Ken's will channel like business ideas. She's like, I completely built my last business on LSD. And like Jack too will be like, yeah, lots of like clarity, lots of downloads, lots of things like that. So I was kind of like, okay, cool. Like I'm excited. I'm available for that. But also I want to have no expectations whatsoever because
That's
I
great
know
because
how that
you with the
goes.
sacral. Let's
Yeah.
just hop on the sacral excitement of everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, my emotional wave, wanting to fantasize and then attach to and then have the emotional backlash of that. And it was a really beautiful experience. And I think there was kind of like two things that were present for me. The first was I have battled with this theme of creativity for my entire life. So my entire upbringing, like my mother very much instilled these narratives on me and my siblings that Purdies are not creative. We're athletic and we're smart, but like we're not creative. And it was her narrative. And it was had to become ours. There was no world in which it wasn't. And I was a little bit more of an outlier. Like I had a musical ear, so I played piano. When I was a kid, all I wanted to do was sing. I have all these home videos, and keep in mind when I was really, really little, I had a smoker's voice, like full on this raspy little voice. And I have all these videos of me standing up, and I have like short hair and I'm wearing something ridiculous and I'm standing in the front of the room and I'm just belting Christmas songs at any opportunity. And I don't care if no one's watching me. I'm singing Frosty the Snowman, like loving it. But and then as I did get older, it's like actually really did want to sing. And I remember I did a like theater summer camp one year, and I had like the lead role for the girl with the most lines or something. And it was like I actually had this talent, but it was never entertained. Like it was never given the space to be like, okay, yeah, like if you want to sing, sing, right? So it was very much like shamed out of me. And my mom is a horrible singer. So again, her thing is like, Purdies can't Purdies can't sing, Purdies aren't musical, Purdies aren't creative. So we just didn't entertain that. You know, it's like there was art school when you're a kid growing up. And so you have to do certain projects. But it's like if you're not perceived as like a protege, then don't waste your time, kind of
And there's no
thing.
point. Yeah.
So living in Bali kind of stretched me because you have a lot of creatives there. And there are a lot of communities where it's like, oh, for fun, why don't we all just like paint together? Or why don't we do this like pottery class? And I remember kind of wanting to be like, okay, I'm going to start to do some things more creatively just for fun, right? But I still never believed it. It's almost as if I was playing pretend. And I realized how, and even now, it's like I've done some really cool things. Like I made this mural once of my brother that's like so funny. And I've shared it on social media a few times, and I've had so many people reach out and they're like, Erin, this is fucking awesome. And I've done some like things, but it's like I hear it and I just think it's a fluke. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it was just kind of like, and so as we get in to do the journey, I remember Ken's mentioning, she's like, oh, we have all those canvases and paints, Erin. Like, you're really going to want to use those. And I remember when she said that, again, I was almost like, it's interesting because she sees me as this creative, like artistic person. And I'm like, I know that people, you know, take acid and paint, right? Like that's, or do mushrooms and paint, whatever it is. But I'm like, I don't think I'm actually going to have that desire to do it because I don't think I'm actually that, right? And so I kind of just went along with it. And I was like, yeah, cool. Good to know that that's there. So we take it. We actually ended up doing like a 9D breath work on the onset of the trip. We didn't actually breathe it though. So we just had the headphones on. And like, again, it's all this like surround sound, like really powerful journey, which was really, really cool to do with that. And then, of course, we go outside. I'm in the sun. I'm seeing like the sacred geometry, which for a lot of things that I do, I don't often have visuals. So it was really cool to kind of like tap into that. And I was like, I've always known that was there, but I like that I can see it now,
I
kind of thing.
found LSD has greater visuals. I noticed
Yeah.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, we're all just like laughing. We kind of get the giggles. We're goofing around. And then I just start to notice, like, I feel, and this for me, it was like just so clear, like my second line, hermit. As much as like, again, I couldn't feel more safe with these people. And they're again, it's funny how I think LSD really brings out like the inner child. Like I was like, okay, this is the brother I grew up with. I got to see Ken's inner child. And I also got to see of like, I kind of want to be on my own.
Yeah.
As like, I don't really want to do this right now. And I came in and I like looked at the canvases and they were like in a corner and we were all in this room together. And at first I sat in the corner with this canvas and then I was like, I think I'm gonna paint. And again, but almost just be like, okay, let's just see what happens. And then I was like, I need to be alone. And I walked outside into the very, very corner of our garden. And I could hear like Jack and Mackenzie laughing, kind of doing things in here. And I was like, I don't care. I was like, I don't care about anything else. And I start dropping this paint on the canvas. And oh my God, I have never experienced something like this before where I was just like oh, this is what it means to just like have no care in the world about what you're actually creating, but to be so immersed in the process of creation. And again, LSD helps where it's like I was experiencing the colors, I was like the textures, all of these things, and to just like be able to keep just throwing my energy at it. And then we had music playing, and it was just such a vibe. And I was like, I am the art. I am the artist. This is the creation in itself. And to just like really feel that, because again, what it melted away was all of that like illusion or that separation and like identification with not being creative. And yeah, it was really special. And again, it goes to show you how powerful our mind is, and the stories that we tell ourselves will become our reality if we feed them. And sometimes, again, because of the world that we live in, I think we need plant medicine. We need experiences right now to be able to like rock those stories.
Yeah.
But then it's like once the story's broken, it's broken. You don't go back just to being how it was before. And of course, now I'm like, okay, I can just go back to work. I can go back to all of these things. But like, don't forget that moment. Don't forget that artist. Find your solitude. Do go and hermit and let yourself create.
100%, 100%. And I think that's why it's so nice to do a few times a year, because it is just like a pattern interrupt. That's how I see it. It's like a reminder of like who, what's really important at the core. And it always comes back down to this, like creating. And like creating isn't painting for everyone. It's whatever. But like even for me, like movement, I'm someone who I don't move, I can't dance. But then when you speak to my mom from a 3-year-old, I was always dancing in front of everyone. And like, it makes you question, like, when was that moment that I just decided that I don't dance, that I have no rhythm, that I'm not feminine enough to move? And then you have experiences like that. And you're like, wait, why is this oozing out of me? Like literally so naturally, like my body just wants to. Okay, so what am I doing in my daily reality that is cloaking that so much? And why am I so afraid to be that?
Yeah.
And it's a story. Something happens down the line where you have decided that that's not your identity.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. 100%. And what was really interesting is I have one friend that I grew up with who's like my oldest friend. And I think since we were like 3 years old, and we grew up together, and we're still friends today. She's getting married in June. She wants me to officiate her wedding. And I was like, hey, sure. Keep in mind, I wouldn't say ditched, but I have politely declined every single wedding that I've been invited to in the last 3 years, because I've been out and about and like living my life in weird parts of the world where I'm just like, it's not a priority to me. This is going to be the first and only wedding that I'm actually going out of my way to attend.
And
And then I'm
so
going to be
if you're,
standing up there like,
yeah, so officiating is when you're actually marrying them, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because I asked Simona to do this, and I was like, you're gonna have to do some kind of qualification for this, because I'm sure like that you have to like study it, right? Not study it, but don't
Yeah,
you
that's
have
a
to
good
get
point.
like a cert that says
I'm
you're
thinking in
allowed?
order to do it like legally, maybe, but maybe in
Right.
this instance, it's more of like
A nice thing.
yeah, like it's not like it's not like formal. It's just,
So
I
they're
don't
getting
know.
married, and then you're just like,
Yeah. So, anyways, I digress. But we had a call the other day, and I've shared about kind of like my block with creativity, I think on social media a few times before. And we were having a conversation once, and I don't even know what brought it up, but she's like, Erin, you're one of the most creative people I know. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like when we were kids growing up, you were always making up games. You were always like coming up with these ideas of what we're going to do. And like to her, that was like something she couldn't do. right? And I have desire motivation, and so was very much like the leader of my little clans growing up. And to me, I never perceived creativity with that. I kind of just saw that as like my dominant personality, and like, this is what we're doing and we're going to play this. But it does take creativity to come up with the things that I would come up with in the games and the storylines and the things that we were kind of doing. And it was really cool to see that through her eyes, and to see it with such just like innocence and authenticity. She's like, you're one of the most creative people I know.
I mean, even you saying that when I'm listening to you, I'm like, look at our website. Look at the stories you make. Like, I we pass it to you to do because you're the one that has the visual eye.
Yeah. And
And
isn't
it's
that
so
funny? It's like as if I've just been playing pretend and I still haven't yet believed it, even though I know. And I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing if I.
no.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny.
But I guess this is the piece, like people can always see us in it more than we can ourselves. And like the journey really is being like, oh no, I'm actually pretty fucking good at that. Like, oh no,
Yeah,
actually that's a gift of mine. And if I was to embrace it, like it's not only unlocking opportunities for me, but it's also like opening me up to like my actual true identity, which then also puts me in alignment for the things that I'm gonna find me because I'm in the right place doing the right thing.
yeah,
All the things
yeah.
that
And I
bring
look at
me the
myself too. It's like, yeah, projector. Yeah, I'm great at seeing everyone else. I'm not great at seeing myself. Plus, second line personality, hermit, where I'm just like in my little like shell doing my thing, like have no idea. And yet it's everybody walking by who's like, oh, wow, look at that. Huh.
Yeah, 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 like peering in the window, like, "What's she creating?"
Yep.
Meanwhile, you're like,
Yep.
"I don't even know."
Yeah, literally. And that's how it goes every time I do something that's like creative. I don't know. Sometimes, and also another way that it shows up is when I'm cooking and I don't use recipes. I mean, again, quad right brain. So I've let myself just release any need for structure, for consistency. I just kind of like da 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 da. And we always joke, and someone will ask me, like, oh, what's in it? And I was like, I don't know. I blacked out. But that's also creative, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. No, absolutely, and I mean, this is like you said, creativity, like, is not just again, this is our society where it's been like, well, to be creative is to draw, is to paint. But actually, like, the fact you can come up with a frigging business idea is creative, you know? And creative has so many different layers. It's cooking a nice meal. It's prepping a nice tea. It's the way that you position the food on the table. Like it's all art. Everything is art.
Yeah.
I had that when I was on the mushrooms. I was like, how can the world just look like this? I was like, everything is art. Oh my God. But you just don't stop to like see that unless you just take a minute to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the one, and then that was kind of like the other side of the coin with my journey over the weekend was I felt, it was great to be just like blissfully absorbed in this experience. And then, like LSD lasts for a long time. It's like 12
Yeah.
hours. And so the last few hours, I could just feel like the claws of reality wanting to sink back in. And of course, we have our phones on airplane mode all day, like not checking any of that. But it didn't matter because it was like the life that I have right now, like where I'm at right now, is so all consuming with just work and like all these different moving pieces. I have definitely put myself into a state of like overexhaustion, and to just
Yeah.
feel that wanting to pull me back and having to fight it. And I'm like, I don't like that this is my reality. I don't like that I'm like, okay, anticipating getting on my phone and checking like, okay, messages from here, leads from here, like all these different things that I'm managing. I'm like, this isn't fun.
Yeah. And like also you have freedom, right? You're an entrepreneur, and for that to then be like, oh wait, oh, again, it's a reflection. It's not a comfortable one, but it is a reflection
Yeah.
for sure. And I think that's also one of the main pieces. Like I had this too. I was like, the just I couldn't have picked my phone up or bothered about picking my phone up if I tried. And like, why is it so hard to be away from that thing on a day-to-day basis? Like, what shifted in my brain for me to like literally that to be the least important thing ever? And actually, as I was coming down off mine, I was sat in the garden watching like life, and I remember like my phone was with me because I had my headphones in, and I picked my phone up and I'd made a sale from Business by Design. And I remember literally being like, that's silly. And like put my phone down. And my friend came down. And I was like, guess what? I just made a sale. And I don't even care. And like, it was like, not that I didn't
Yeah.
care, but I was
Yeah. It
like,
just
it
wasn't the
just,
most important thing.
I'm like, I literally put my phone back down and was like, back to the clouds rolling in, like, whoa, that tree. And I was like, oh my God, this is the whole point. Presence. Like, these phones are doing absolutely nothing for us. Well, they're doing a lot for us, but like in terms of the disconnect we have to nature, because we're always on these things, waiting for the next sale, waiting for the next notification. How can we tune back in to what's literally in front of us and that be like a second best kind of vibe? And this is what I've been feeling this week, like just a numbness of sorts where I'm like, I've got content batched. I could post every single day this week, but even that feels like, why am I doing it? Why am I putting it out? And I was like, I
Mm.
can't even get on. Like, I've written out a thing, a reflection, and I can't even get on to post the reflection about feeling the ebb. I'm like, there's something in this that like I can't be in that space right now. I have to
Yeah.
honor this dead space. And what was
Honestly, like, I just think something's changing in the way, and again, it's so hard because as entrepreneurs, again, there's so many beautiful gifts that this life allows for us. It's such a blessing to be doing what we love, what we're passionate about. But something's changing, and I think like AI is sort of facilitating that now too, where it's it helps, right? Like I don't look at AI as like a net negative, right? I think it's a positive in a lot of ways, but it's the sort of discernment. It's your intention, it's how
absolutely?
you use it. It has the potential to almost like it's an extension of our consciousness, really. However, it's changing the way that we do business. And I think that, again, it goes back to the 2027 cycles where the only thing that survives this 400-year cycle change is authenticity.
I agree.
AI is going to be able to replicate all that is not authentic. And as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as brands within ourselves, I think on one end it has a huge potential to help us, but I think it's going to be really fucking hard at the same time because, again, we rely on Instagram to reach our audience, but we're limited by Instagram based on its algorithmic measures. And because of that, it's forcing us to operate in a way that
Yeah, you're back. You said we're limited based on.
So we're limited based on these like algorithmic constraints, which forces us to show up for our businesses based on ourselves and our authenticity in a way that maybe isn't entirely authentic, right? We have to follow certain rules, we have to follow certain things because of these limitations. And I think that for those of us who are in the game of authenticity, who are in the game of empowerment, who are in the game of walking the walk, we're going to feel this the most. And then we're going to have to be the ones that push the envelope to figure out what is a different way of doing this, which is going to be risky and it's going to require innovation and it's going to be scary. And yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like, but again, I think that's why it's affecting, we're all feeling this. All of us creators on the online space are feeling this.
Well, I mean, it's easy enough now for someone to buy a set of prompts and say, write my post like I'm a poetic. Like, you can train that AI to, even though you're not giving it your authenticity, you can train it to be powerful, creative, a poet. I mean, I use
Yeah.
it, I give it a seed of an idea and I say to it, make this spicier, make this more activating, make this into a problem aware piece of content. But at the same time, I'm like, wow, I wish I could have put it that way. And I mean, I've taken the time to speak to it so it knows my tone, it knows whatever. But at the same time, I had this conversation the other day. I was like, I used to write captions. I used to just write captions. Now every caption is fed through ChatGPT, and yes, it makes it better in my eyes. But actually, I talk about filtering yourself. Well, actually, am I not doing the same thing? And yes, I'm going to continue using ChatGPT because it helps me and it really does refine, and like I'm giving it more and more information, and there's a self discernment that comes with it. But like it is getting harder to fight through. People are getting drowned out. So then when you don't, because one thing that's frustrating me a lot is like I know I have an authentic voice. I know I have something really powerful to say, but like I'm not making the viral day in the lifey like traction videos. I'm speaking, I'm explaining shit. People's like attention span, they don't want to sit for 3 minutes and listen to me explain, right? And it's like, well, fuck, I don't want to prance around in front of the fucking screen. And so, yeah, it's harder. It's like trusting that even if you're not going viral for whatever, like you're still being seen in some way and the right people are finding you. And it's also like a part of just giving it up to God as well. Of like, my time is my time. Like maybe I'm called forward in a couple of years instead of right now, Maybe I'm going to learn something right now. Maybe I'm going to learn something. And I said this to my friend the other day. I was like, I get so frustrated because I know I'm here to be like a leader and have like a big, not even following, just like a big impact. And in the sense of like, I feel like I'm here to reach a lot of people, and that being obviously social media helps. But I was like, but I also like, and one thing came through in the mushroom ceremony where it was like, you're not where you know you will be, because if you got there with the money, with the success, with the whatever, you know that you're not entitled to, but I just know that I'm here to be like really successful. And you're not there because if you'd have got given it early days, then you wouldn't have learned to be as grounded, as wise, as mature. You would have quantum leaped. You would have spent all your money. You would have been dysregulated as hell because you'd have connected all of it to how much you do. We've had to teach you that how much you do does not equal how much you're worth and your success. So now you're learning that. Thank God. Thank you for finally learning that lesson. Now we can start to feed you what that looks like. But again, we're not going to give it you too fast, because again, you'll piss it up the wall, because you'll go so fast that you'll burn yourself out and you'll be no good to anybody. So let's just slow and steady this, but we'll still give you enough that like you're solid. And I genuinely see it that way.
Same, same. And you want to know what's funny? I think like you and I have such parallels in our like life cycles because we have what, the same life path number, born like both Taurus, same year. Like we have so many, even though mechanically we're very different, we're like following these same
Don't we have the
cycles.
same north nodes and south nodes too?
My nodes are your cross. So I have 2343 as my nodes. Yeah. So again, there's so many like because it's the exact same for me. I'm like, I'm still learning 7 years into my experiment still. Like I'm still learning when enough is enough. Like I've just had a big realization of like, Erin, you're doing that thing again where you're trying to be a doer. And I just had to take inventory of like everything I've been working on. And it's like, why am I doing so many fucking things and things that really are not like in full body, yes, like alignment. And I see how I got into that position because I didn't wait out my emotional wave before committing to certain things, right? And holding on to things for longer than is good for me. And I'm still learning that. So, of course, it's like I'm not going to be where I know that I'm going yet because I wouldn't be able to survive it and I would burn myself out and ruin all of that potential and that impact essentially.
Absolutely. And this is where like that sustainable journey piece. Nobody wants a sustainable journey. Nobody wants to actually go on the journey. And nobody even like really talks about it. But it's like none of this happens overnight. And if you want something solid, it's actually better that it takes a little bit longer because I don't know, just the way I am with business, the way I am with money, the way I am in everything now is so much different only because I've been burned. I've pedestaled the people. And every single time it comes back down to that wasn't how you perceived it. It's never as like the grass is never greener on the other side kind of vibe. And actually, like my worst nightmare now, because I've seen it happen, is getting to the top of the mountain, falling flat on my face and being like, I just can't even like I don't even want to be here now because I'm just so fed up of like how much I don't want to do that. Like I want to get to the top of the mountain, be surrounded by like awesome people and be like, oh my God, I'm so regulated. I can actually embrace this and I still have a life at the same time. Like
Yeah.
that's priority. It's not the how much work can I do? How many things can I launch? Like it's happening. You know, just let it happen. Fuck. That was the lesson again. It's like take 4 days off. You're fine. Oh my God, how can you like think that you don't need to just breathe?
Yeah.
And I wrote in my notes, I was like, we're just complex plants. We need stillness too. We need stillness too.
Literally.
Crazy stuff. Literally crazy stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. But again, I'm excited to see what happens in this weird, wild world of ours.
Yeah. No. I know, but me and Ben were talking about like how when I get pregnant, and he was like 2027. I was like, fuck no. I was like, fuck no. Before 2027, it has to be before.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's 2 more years to go. I was like, no way. But also, yeah. But fuck, like, yeah, there's just so much shifting and changing, and it's like having that fine balance of going along for the ride, but also intentionally like doing what you've got to do to put yourself in a healthy place to be in good standing.
And again, this is why we always come back to embodiment, mechanics, know yourself, know your design. Let that be another ally without letting it define you as your identity. It's
Yeah.
like,
Don't weaponize it.
exactly, again, because you just see that so much too now. It's freaking wild. Yeah, because I don't know, I wouldn't have been able to navigate, like all these last few years for you as well. It's like it's been this preparation, it's been shedding, it has been stretching, it has been like, let's like push you to your limits so you learn these lessons. Those lessons aren't fucking easy. Thank God we have had tools in our back pocket. Thank God we have had an understanding how to stay aligned throughout those processes. Otherwise, we never would have survived it.
Percent. And I had this realization this morning because I mean, like the depression I went through, the PTSD I went through. I think we met in the thick of that. And how low I was, how consistently low I was. And I was explaining this to my friend today. I was like, I was literally a dark cloud. Like my friends would avoid me and I thought something was wrong with me. It wasn't really something was wrong with me. It was just my energy and frequency was so low, and I would get stuck in the entropy. And I love the Gene Key one for this. Like I always read this when I need a reminder of like what the low actually is of the wave. And like it says, entropy's black hole is the key to creativity's white hole. And that phrase is just like art to my ears, because art music to my ears. You know what I mean? But basically this morning I was sat with like I had a real low this morning. I got up and I was just like, ugh. And I was like, okay, what tools do you have? Because you don't need to fix in this. You can ride this wave. And I literally went for a walk. I did some rapé, which always like recalibrates my like awareness, cleared my brain out, and then did some EFT for just recalibrating. And then went and did a PT session, and afterwards, I was still low, but I was fine. I was able to do a reading with my friend. I got a bit of work done. I went and got my eyelashes done. I was able to function. Whereas in the past, I literally would have just stayed in my bed, wallowed, found any meaning possible why I was feeling that way, and then been in this healing cycle of trying to fix something. And that today I was like, there's nothing to fix. Like, if you're in an ebb, you're in an ebb. Let the fertile soul do its thing. If you need to be offline until next week or the week after, that's also fine. Just breathe, man. Like, just go about your day.
Yeah.
And by 1 p.m., I was like, oh, I'm like, actually, all right.
Yeah. I love that.
And those are the tools. That's because of the tools, single-handedly the tools, right? Because if I didn't have the awareness of my design and my emotional wave, game changer. If I didn't have, the tools I know help, like EFT, moving my energy, the rapé to like physically pattern interrupt my body, then what? You're just spiraling. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I
So
like what you
important.
said too about like almost like attaching to the like healing cycle, which I think for a lot of us who have been in the wellness world and on this self-discovery, personal development path for a long time, that is the biggest trap. We're always healing. We're always like, oh, this trigger, now I need to go and like go through this whole
Why?
process and like why this, and we're just perpetuating this belief that we're broken.
And if you perpetuate the belief that you're broken, you also keep yourself stuck in experiences that prove that you're broken. And this is again the like kind of that frequency manifestation loop of like, well, I'm healing. So I'm creating the version of me that can receive the thing, but then you stay stuck in I'm working on becoming the version of me that never actually receives the thing because you're still believing that you need to become something to receive it versus just like traversing whatever the fuck is thrown at you when it's thrown at you. Like, I would even say, like, you'd probably meet me in the street now. I'm naturally not, I wouldn't come across as like that spiritual. Like, I'm not really talking about stuff anymore unless you get into a deep conversation with me, which then, I'll speak about things. But I used to make it my whole identity. It'd be like, oh, like, I'm just navigating a trigger. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
fuck.
I did you bring your tarot cards? Maybe we should pull some cards on it.
You know what was so funny? Like, I think I've thrown my tarot cards away or they're buried somewhere. I haven't touched them in almost over a year. And I actually had a nudge to get them for the mushroom ceremony. Well, with my friend. And I couldn't find them. I could not find them. And I swear I knew where they were. And I was just like, I had a moment where I was like, this is hard for me to find these right now. They obviously don't want to be found right now. And nothing against tarot cards. It's just not something that I use anymore because I don't need validation outside of myself. I know how I'm feeling? And I was like, it's so interesting that I just can't find these. And I was like, funny, because these were something that I used to use multiple times a day to tell me whether I was in a death moment or gonna be making money this month?
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, bro, that's not, you can use them as a nudge or you can use them for a little bit of whatever, but like, again, nothing against them. But for me, I was genuinely making them me. Like, they were my leader. They were not a helpful
Yeah. Yeah.
way.
Yeah. I love that. Again, it's coming back to our own authority, our own intuition. There's nothing else you can do.
There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
No? Yeah. Well, I love that our conversation took this turn. I feel like when me and you talk, it just ends up being like we were going to talk about business launches and stuff.
Yeah.
And look,
Yeah. I love it. I love these kinds of conversations. It feels so good to be podcasting again. It feels good to be releasing episodes again. This is one of those ways that feels like a lot less work than social media and all of that.
yeah, I agree. It's just easy.
All right, my darling. Much love and catch you on the flip side.
Right.